Hi, thanks for checking in. Welcome to your next lesson working with linear equations and functions. Your learning target for this lesson is that you will be able to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form. Let's remember, slope-intercept form is my favorite form of a linear equation, and it looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. And just for the sake of recall, m is the slope of your line, b is the y-intercept. All right, where the line crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do this. The first way is super duper easy, and then the second way to write these linear equations requires a little bit of work on your behalf because we're going to write these equations by looking at a line on a graph. Okay, so let's start with the easy ones. Here we go. Writing linear equations. There's a slope-intercept form again, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, that would be awesome to have written down in your notes, and you should do so. These are the easy ones. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. And there it is again, y equals mx plus b. If they tell you the slope of the line and they tell you the y-intercept, it really is just as simple as plugging in the slope to the m and plugging in the y-intercept to the b. So, for this one, y equals 1/2 x, that's your slope. And if the y-intercept is -5, then we just write -5. That's it. That's all you have to do. How about this one? Slope is 2, which really means, if you want to, 2/1. Y-intercept of 1/3. Now that's somewhat unusual. We haven't done a whole lot of y-intercepts that are fractions, but it does happen from time to time. No matter. You're going to plug the slope in where the m is and the y-intercept where the b is. So here we go. Y equals mx. You could have 2/1 if you wanted, plus b. B is the slope, or b is the y-intercept, and it's 1/3. Again, that y-intercept of 1/3 is somewhat unusual. We haven't seen a lot of that in this unit, but it does happen, and you're going to see more and more of it as you get a little further along into algebra. So that's pretty easy, right? Those are the easy ones. Easy to write a linear equation if they flat out tell you what the slope is and they flat out tell you what the y-intercept is. Not too hard on that. But of course, they don't give you very many of those. You see more like this. Here is a linear equation that has been graphed as a straight line on the coordinate plane, and it's asking us to write the equation for this line in slope-intercept form. Again, I wrote the slope-intercept form for you, y equals mx plus b. We need to know these values. What is the m and what is the b? M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So we have to do a little calculating here. For the slope, let's recall rise over run. So you pick one point, I pick this one, and you pick another point, I pick this one, and going from left to right, what's the rise, what's the run? Rise 1, run 1. So in this case, for this line, m is 1/1, or 1. The slope of the line is 1. Awesome. Well, how about b? How about the y-intercept? Where does this line cross the y-axis? Bingo, right there. What is the value of y at that point? 1. A whole lot of 1s in this. So the y-intercept is 1. So now I've got everything I need to write the equation. Y equals, what was my slope? 1x plus 1, because that's my y-intercept. You could leave the 1 off and just call it x plus 1. I would allow either answer. Technically, having the 1 in front of the x is not wrong, but oftentimes, more often than not, they do not write the 1. It's like, remember, it's the invisible 1 that's attached to the x. So, but I would allow either answer. Let's try another. Slope-intercept form. I need to find the slope of the line, and I need to find the y-intercept of the line. Let's find the slope. Rise over run. Pick 2 points. I pick this one. I pick this one. What's the rise? Down 2, that's a -2. What's the run? Right 1, that's a +1. So the slope is -2 or -2 over 1. What's the y-intercept? Well, there's your y-intercept. What is that? -1, -2, that's a -3. So I calculated my m, I identified the b. Now I'm going to plug it in. Maybe. There we go. Right? Y equals -2x, there's your slope, and then -3 because that's your y-intercept. Awesome. One more. Look at this guy. Oh, it's the good old horizontal line, our friend. Haven't seen him in a while. Oh boy, what is the slope of a horizontal line? You should know the slope of that line is 0 because the rise is 0 and the run can be any number, 1 or 2 or 3. So the slope is 0. What is the y-intercept? Well, there's your y. There's where it crosses. That's at a +2. Y-intercept is 2. Doop-de-doo. Let me get some room here. Work with me. So, y equals, what's your slope? 0. Plus 2 for your y-intercept. Now, 0 times x is 0. So really, if the slope is 0, oftentimes you will not see the 0x. They just leave that out, and they just tell you y equals 2. I am at a point, though, where I would actually allow either answer. You could write it either way, and that would make me happy. So, for some of these, you have to calculate the slope, rise over run, and then you have to identify the y-intercept and put it in the equation. And for others, like these, where we started, they give you the slope and the y-intercept. You simply have to plug them into the right spot of the linear equation. So, we will be working on a worksheet in class that covers this material. Thanks for watching. I'll see ya.